Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel and videos and all that stuff that YouTubers say. So today's video might be a little long, and I just want to talk about, I guess, Uman Rosh Hashanah this year, a few things about it, and also just a few stories of what Uman was like back in the day and like how people they were mamish mesirus to get there. And this year, it's definitely going to take some mesirusnefesh to be an Uman Rosh Hashanah. Nobody really knows still what's going to happen. But let's just discuss a few things. So, number one is that yesterday the news came out that Ukraine has decided to let Uman Rosh Hashanah occur. It can happen. It's going to happen. As to the amount of people that will be allowed in, so there has not been a number announced. I can't see it being more than 10, 15,000 people. I have no idea. I just don't see them letting in 50,000 people with the rules that they want to implement there so that the virus does not spread. I don't see them letting in 50,000 just because some of the things that they want to do are they want to basically Pushkina is going to be like that area from Pushkina and down towards Zion is like you won't be able to leave. Like once you're in it, it seems like you won't be able to leave outside to the other parts of the city. I guess they're gonna shut down like outside from the Jewish area. They're gonna shut it down, and you won't be able to leave unless like you're going back to the airport. You can't go to the shul. You can't go other places. You have to stay inside that area the whole entire time. And they want to have entrances to the Zion is going to be limited to a certain amount of people for only a certain amount of time. Shiner's eating place is going to be limited. There's going to be different rooms for different people from the same countries, different entrances, different exits, a room for people who had corona. Many different things that they're going to try to do. Mikvahs are going to be limited. And you know what? I mean, listen, it sounds very complicated, and I hope that it works out. But the few things that I am worried about, and I just want to read something over here that. So first of all, they put out this pamphlet. It was on Breslovers News website and also other places. It's a pamphlet on just because people are thinking about Rosh Hashanah now. And they just put a pamphlet together of like all different sources from all Breslovers farm. I'll leave a link to it if you want to read it in the YouTube description. But it's all basically about the Rebbe's Rosh Hashanah and what how great it is and different stories. So I saw a few things in here. Hold on 1 second. I need to put my fan on my computer on so that doesn't overheat. One of the things I saw over here was very interesting. So what they want to do is right over here. Okay, so Nuntas. It says that in Sefer Chaim Moran, in the Ksav Yad of Rav Nosson, it says that there is going to be a time where people are going to come from all over the world to Uman on Erev Rosh Hashanah to be by the Rebbe's Tzion, and there's going to be so many people until they have to put shoimrim and shoitrim officers lashgiach al tzibur shlo yismamu yoser midai, so that they won't be too crushed together. And that's actually what's going to happen this year. Is that they said that they're going to have officers and police officers are getting 1,000 more police officers than they would other years, and they're going to be guarding and they're going to make sure everyone's wearing masks and keeping social distancing and all these things, especially inside the Tzion for sure. So it's definitely going to be a very interesting experience, but it's interesting that Rav Nosson already spoke about it back then, something like that. And the next thing also that I wanted to say is in Sif Samach over here, in this part of this booklet, he says, Mornat says that he said one time about the Inyan of the Nesiya to Rabbeinu for Rosh Hashanah, he says, even if the whole way was, whatever, there's another Lashon, he says, with knives, with very sharp objects, I would still go with my feet and hands just to get to the Tzion. But what does he say over here? He says, "Avo beli passport lo," but without a passport, not. Right? He said, I would do anything possible to get a passport before I go. Why? Because it's possible that they'll stop me, and I won't have tefillah and tefillin. I won't be able to daven, and even maybe possible even come to Chil Shabbos and Yontif. So what does that mean in regards to today? So if people have been following the news, so there's a lot to actually do to get into Ukraine. I mean, I haven't been there. I know that there's people going now, officially, according to what I'm saying. And you need a few things. So if you don't take care of those few things, it's very possible that you could be stuck and sent back to Eretz Yisrael, or if you're in a connecting country and miss your connecting flight, you don't want to be flying out a day before Rosh Hashanah when you need to make sure that you need to take a few things. So I just want to go through a few things before we get into all the stories about that. So to get into Ukraine today, there is a 14-day requirement of going into quarantine when you enter in the country. Now, you could get out of the quarantine by going to get a test. You have 24 hours from when you cross the border there to get to where you're going to be staying, to do your 14 days. Then after you get to where you stay, or before you go to stay, you can go to a testing lab all over Kiev or wherever you land inside the Ukraine, and you can get a test for the virus, and it takes like between 12 and 24 hours, and then you can get free from quarantine once your test comes back negative. So how do you do that? So first of all, you need to have a phone that will allow you to download an app from Ukraine called it's on the news site, whatever, all these different things, and that app connects with these labs, and then the labs send the results to your phone. So you cannot go into Ukraine without a smartphone or a phone that has this app. And officially, I think you need a Ukrainian SIM as well. Not one from Israel, not one from America. I think you need a Ukrainian SIM card. But I don't know if that's like 100%. And you also need health insurance that is from Ukraine, and that will cover the virus, corona, all that stuff. Because you need all those things, and I think you also need to show them at the border where you're going to be staying. So if you don't prepare these things before you get there, it's very possible that they will not let you in. I already heard that they turned someone away in Israel, flying there because he didn't have the right insurance, so they're also probably going to be checking in Israel. So this is what I'm saying, also probably in America. I mean, I don't know if probably not in America as much as they will be checking here, but there's definitely people going to be coming from the U.S. also as well. I'm in Israel, so that's why I'm just saying Israel. I mean, things can definitely change from now until Rosh Hashanah time, but people need to take into account. So let's say, for example, I think Rosh Hashanah is Friday night this year. So if you get to Uman on Friday morning, let's say other years you could just arrive in Uman on Friday morning, you won't be able, if you don't get a test right before Rosh Hashanah, officially you will not be able to leave your apartment. You won't be able to go to Tzion, you won't be able to eat, you won't be able to do anything. And they will be checking. I read that 3 Israelis were already fined for overstaying their amount of time, because if you go in for less than 48 hours, you don't have to go into bidud. You don't have to go into quarantine. So they're going to be checking, they're going to be strict, and people who are not going to follow the rules could possibly mess it up for other people that are already there. So that's what I think. Also, just a little message from what Rebbe Nachman is saying over here is that you have to get everything together and make sure that you have all the right stuff before you go into Ukraine. And when you're there, you follow the rules. Right now in the Tzion, you need to wear a mask. On the street, you need to wear a mask. Everywhere, you need to wear a mask and keep social distancing and practice all the rules, because they do not want the virus to spread there. And Chas v'shalom, we don't want the virus to spread there and make a chil Hashem and hurt people. Chas v'shalom. So nobody knows what's going to happen. People are still besuffic if they should go or not. I'm not telling anyone to go. I have no idea what's going to be with me this year. There's right now, if you go back into Eretz Yisrael, you need to go into 2-week quarantine also. And after Rosh Hashanah, flying back, that means that you have to miss Shul and Yom Kippur and the first day of Sukkot. You can't leave your house, can't help out with the preparations. It's very difficult to make a decision. Also, we don't even know how much people they're going to have. That's another thing also that they're saying, is that they're going to have a limited amount of flights from Israel charter flights. So charter flights usually they have like hundreds of and like 500 different flights that bring a lot of Breslovers to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. This year, Israel may not approve those flights because they may not want people actually leaving Israel and then coming back, possibly bringing back the virus. So they won't know to the last minute. That's why there's reports going around that people are saying to go already now, because there's not going to be so many regular flights. On a regular year, people also go on regular flights. They go with Lufthansa, or they go with other places. They go through Amsterdam, they go through Turkey, there's different places. So, but there is not so many flights now leaving from Israel that are straight to Ukraine. And you have to go through other countries, and it may not be enough for everybody to get there. So we have to see what happens. But all I know is that there's definitely still time to make some preparations and make decisions and what is going to be there. But even still, it's still going to be Mesirusnefesh. It's going to be a different type of year. There's going to be a lot of rules. There's going to be a lot of different things, and I hope that people follow it. I hope that it's not going to be a balagan, crazy ness. But I'm nobody, so that's all I'm saying. So now, so make sure your passport's in order, make sure your insurance is, make sure everything. The last thing you want to do is get to the border in Ukraine and be stuck there, and then also possibly be stuck in a different country if they send you back and you don't have time to get back in time for Rosh Hashanah. People are going to be flying like a week or two before. You can't fly a day before because you have to get a test officially still. And I hope that they're not going to be overloaded, and I hope that everything's going to be okay. So now let's look at some stories over here. On what some of these guys went through to get to Uman back in the day. Okay, so it's going through, this is Rebbe Nachman was alive, different things. Let me just try to find it. I should have made a mark on it. Right? Sorry. Okay, we're almost there, I think. Keep on going. How's everybody doing? Leave something in the comments today, huh? Come on. Where are you? Here we go. Okay. So it says over here. Okay, here we go. Here, first of all, okay, right over here. I'm sorry. Time. One more page. Here, let's read a few stories about people. So it says over here, Tzadik Daled, this one. It says over here, Rabbi Yisrael David Zal from Lublin, which was in Poland. He was a very simple, straight man. That he had such a ratzon to travel from Poland to Uman Rosh Hashanah. He hired himself out because he was so poor to be a shepherd of animals. V'kach asaf kesef, and he gathered money. V'nasa l'Uman, and he went to Uman. And afterwards, when they closed the gates, when there was a time by Second World War, I think it was when they shut down before the Second World War, when they shut down the Ukraine or whatever, they shut down that area, people couldn't go in. He was so now the kibbutz moved to Lublin. His man l'chazan the Lublin. He was the chazan for the Rosh Hashanah kibbutz in Lublin, and he was mispal k'shech tzibor as tfilas hamusafim bekibbutz anshe shemenu shel Rosh Hashanah. It's from Siach Sarfi Kodesh Chelik Zayin. It says over here, this one's a little intense. Tzadik Hey. It says Eini ten l'shayir klal klal. We can't even imagine really what the Mesirusnefesh of the people who went to Uman back then to the kibbutz of Anshe Shemenu from Be'ez Hama Hafecha Gdola. I guess that was like when the wars were going on and things were crazy back then, 30s and 40s. He says that there was a great famine then, and the people were only living off of subin. Subin is a type of grain, oat or something. V'teva davar shel oichel subin shenespach bitan ma'oid. And the way it works, if you eat subin, your stomach gets really big, v'raglov mitztamkois, and also your feet get really big. Ad shemapiloi koived habeten, until you could fall from, I guess, from how heavy your stomach is. And they didn't have shoes, and they would go barefoot. Oh, sorry, they would wrap their feet bismartutim in towels that were covered with mud and dirt and stuff because of all the rains that fell then. And people, a lot of people fell sick then. Ad kidei kach gesisa, that they were mamish goisis, like mamish almost dying, Rahman al-San. Ubetanoim ke'elu b'Mesirusnefesh kazu boyulishas b'kibitz ashashim ashlo Uman kiyusaper. That's pretty wild that these guys mamish came with that such mesirusnefesh. Today it's like, where we got our nice cars and nice planes and all that. These guys are walking around with towels tied around their feet in freezing cold rain. Very intense, man. But these are just good stories. Maybe give us a little chizik to go this year and to fight the Menachem. It says, let's see this story over here. In the kites of Tuf Reish Ayin Tes, I don't know what year that was. I'm really bad with the Hebrew years. I think it's like 19-something, 1930, 40. In that area. Bayu Kfutos HaPoirim HaBolshevikim L'Teplik B'Hanagosa Shel Ratzech Volinitz. There was groups of Bolsheviks, they were very bad people, who came to Teplik from their leader, the Ratzech Volinitz. Upam Be'esh Yotzer of Levi Yitzchak Zal, I guess of Teplik, the Levi Yitzchak was a chassid of Rabbeinu. He came out of his house to hide in a different place. They found him. Some of these guys, these Bolshevik murderer dudes, they came and they took him. Bring him into a basement there, and we'll just kill him, right? And they took him there. And as they were going to the basement, or where they were going to hurt him, he said somebody said to Rav Levi Yitzchak, he didn't know who. He says, "Run away from here now, from this place." And from his great fear, and he didn't even know who he was. He didn't even, right? He was so scared that he couldn't even tell who it was. And then there was a guy there who was riding on a horse, who said to run very fast. One of these murderer guys said to him, "Start running, and if I catch you with my horse, then I'll get to kill you." And he ran so fast, and he came to the middle of the city, and that's where they were holding all the Jews there that they caught. And he ran into them, and he said, "What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. If they're already going to die, I might as well go with them." So he ran away, and he ran to the middle of the city, and there he found a whole group of Jews that were also caught by these guys. They gathered them all together. Maybe they killed them. So after this, they had 30 guys there that they were tied up, their faces to the ground. If they move at all, these guys are riding the horse. They said to them, "If you move at all, you will die." And they left a few of them, and some of them they freed, and they said, if it was Tuesday, Yom Gimel or Yom Dal b'Shavuos, Tuesday or Wednesday, and they said, by Shabbos, if you do not bring this and this amount of money in this and this amount of place, we're going to kill all the Jews over here that are tied up. Okay, so the Jews got together all this money, kasef, and they sent it with 3 honorary non-Jews. He was the head of the post office in the place. And another one was a famous doctor. And then the other one was a priest. And then as they were going to bring the money to these Pa'irim, another group of Pa'irim stopped them and started hurting them. And they asked them, where are you going? And he told them the whole thing. So Takef Shadatu. Oh wow, that was going to be a happy ending. It's not. And they robbed them. V'lachu es kol kasem shay kesef hakofer. V'oisay retzech volenitz kishro shloi Yehudim es kesef nasam pekuda. V'ritzachim nefesh es kol elu Yehudim. Hashem yikuv davam. And they didn't bring the money and they killed them. Why is this story in here? I guess it's before Rosh Hashanah. This is what they're saying. Like, I think they're just showing us like what type of time that they lived in. I think one more story over here is very wild. This one is over here. Maybe two more. Tzaddik Zion. It says over here, V'hinei be'esa sakana gedola hazois k'shiyam Rosh Hashanah. There was one time there was this type of sakana, right? So we just learned the story. That's big sakana is going on there. Afbein Hilchit Rav Avron Kiblitcher, who was a big Breslover Chassid, and his son-in-law Rav Levi Yitzchak Zal. Oh, I guess Rav Levi Yitzchak from the previous story got freed. Okay. From that city, Teplik, right? They mamish were Mesirusnefesh to come to the kibbutz of Rabbeinu. Of Shnas Tov Reish Pei. Sachru Egloin, and they got a wagon driver. Yatsu Imai Beboiker Muktam Kadeshi Yaspiku Lagiel the Uman Ba'oidyoy. Right? Teplik wasn't so far from Uman, I think. So they went and they got a wagon so that they should get to Uman while it's still daytime. And when they got to Kfar Rasasha, B'shah Esra Boiker, which is 10 kilometers outside of Teplik, the Poirim came and they stopped them and they didn't let them go on. Right? They didn't know what they were going to do with them, and they delayed them 4 hours. And they were mamish scared 4 hours that they were going to die. And then all of a sudden, at 2 o'clock, Ba Pekudash Yusu Maher Ledarkam V'Techa V'Nasu. I guess they just let them go, and that was it. They had to go do something else. And when they came to Kfar Pailanka, which is about 7 kilometers from Uman, Techef B'Hikchansam Ha'ira Bayu L'Krasim Tosher, the people can't see them, and they showed them that there was a Kfutzas Payim Gedolim Mirachok She'ez Atam Hamash, that there was this group of other murderers that came and had just left the city. The Siprulham and these people of the city told these Breslovers who just came, Shapoirim Yoidimuhem, that they knew that they were leaving Teplik to come to Uman, and they waited to rob them and to kill them. And then right now they were mamish, they had yish already from waiting, and they all went. Right? And now they realize that if they hadn't waited over there or weren't delayed by his other guys for 4 hours at the earlier kfar, so then they would have came early, so then they would have been killed. So that's also crazy. Then he says, "V'achar kach himshichu ledarkam," and they went on their way. U'b'derech yard alim geshem zilafis kashim oid. V'yigiu le'er Uman kfar b'layla, and they came to the city of Uman at that night. V'nechusu leklois, and they came into the klois, not the same klois that's there today, by the way, different klois. And they saw the Anash who were there were laying on the ground, sick and dying with typhus. Typhus, right? That's typhus, right? Pretty sure. Neharav hakasha, because of the famine. With them, among those chassidim on the floor was Rabbi Leo Overkov and other people. V'az tziva alav al Rav Levi Yitzchak Rav Shimshon Barsky Zal. We just spoke about him today also, that they found a picture of him. And Rav Shimshon Barsky said to this guy Rav Levi Yitzchak who came from Teplik that he should do slichus. Ki machmas sechanas hadrachim lo yagiu luman shum echad ma'achash minu nikol ha'ayiras movad elu hashiv anashim. Only you 7 came from all the cities. Only you're the only 7 who made it to Uman. It's crazy. Rosh Hashanah. And he was the one who died in front of the Uman Rosh Hashanah. I'm sorry, I'm so tired. I don't know what's going on with me. I need another coffee. The Spal Uman Rosh Hashanah. V'sipur shekol tefillah shoyim espal acher kach b'chol sham shachach hoya zeh rak b'shem hamushal ki'ilu. That davening that they had at that kibbutz when nobody was there except for those few people, that was the real davening. That's what they said. Other times it was just ki'ilu, whatever, but the rest of the year was ki'ilu davening, But this time they were mamish davening koichus with koilus with soyrus shein l'saratar v'ergishu b'muchash ki'ilu she'ef shel haaretz be'etzba shehine Rabbeinu chai imanu b'seichenu, that Rabbeinu was living and was with them. Mama's toiv la'ada. And he could be Mahmud, and he could be Amil Yosher. Crazy stories, man. Let me see if there's anything else over here that's like kind of small over here. I think that's it for today. I don't know. I'm really tired also. Should have a coffee so I don't fall asleep in front of everybody again over here. Wow, let's just do one last story here. Kuf Gimel. Loisei Rosh Hashanah shel shnas Tafresh Pei Hanal. That was one we just talked about. Higi Rav Yaakov Barzeski Zal Mitoich Sakanos Nefesh Mamish. He came by himself from Poland before he was even bar mitzvah. Now the way he met these Reitzchim, these murderers, and other Jews were with him, and they shot all the Jews to death. And they put them in a big pit while they were in this big pit on the way. And the Reitzchim saw that they already killed all of them. And this guy, Rav Yaakov Barzeski, came out of the pit. He was still alive, and he came to Uman Rosh Hashanah. He came on Rosh Hashanah. He got to Rosh Hashanah on the day of Rosh Hashanah, and since he came outside of the Tchum, he wasn't able to go more than 4 amos. That's pretty wild. And then he became bar mitzvah. Whoa. Alright guys, I hope that we'll have a little bit of chizuk from these stories. These guys are mamish getting murdered on the way. We just have to get some health insurance and stuff together and figure it all out, but I don't know. Still could be a little nerve-wracking to go this year. Everyone should do what they feel is right and comfortable, not cause any stress to family members, stress themselves, sickness, chas v'shalom. Everything should be good. Hashem should bless us. It should be a good year for Rosh Hashanah for everybody. Chaim.